Absolutely. I mean, my brain is just linking things together right now, and the guys that aren't from the Brazilian squads need to start linking stuff together and forming themselves into an actual chain at this point in time, because they need to be strong, they need to be sturdy, and all those links need to not be coming apart during the games. Again. And great crowd, honestly.
From the UK? Yeah, it was a long time. It was longer for us, to be fair.
It was.
We had a bit of a mid-range travel, but hopefully playing path isn't going to be quite so brutal to our team.
Imagine the
Going
play
into
path,
18 hour playing path. No, thank you. I'll settle for a couple of minutes. We go into Miramar for match number 5.
You count the plane blast, and you're just fighting against the other team that's left in the lobby. That would be pretty good.
You land in match 20.
Yeah, exactly. That would be pretty cool. Like several matches, and it just happens over a long, long while. And add more and more players to the mix.
Don't be ridiculous, Black.
Yeah, I think that needs additional work. That idea sounds pretty good.
No, you know what? I don't think it needs any work at all, and we can just leave it where it is. Right on the fridge. We'll put it on the fridge, and that's great.
I think I'm going to park it. I'm going to park it. I'm going to come back to it later and, do some mechanicking on it.
Okay.
Mechanic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll work on it. Obviously, Miramar, last to penultimate game right now. Miramar, and then obviously heading over towards our angle to finish things off. So this will be our last Miramar of the day. The warmth is there. So brilliant news. Brilliant news for us. Brilliant news for a lot of these players in terms of not only the warmth, but also the massive amount of areas. This is going to give you a bit more of a chilled out game going forward. And I think with this playing path again, we have had some very kind circles and kind playing paths today. I think it's been very fair, so I don't think anyone can kind of complain that some of these Brazilian teams, the Brazilian Blasters as you call them, are at the top. I think they've actually earned their place, earned their footing, and earned their position on the leaderboard so far. So I think some of these other teams maybe need to step up the game, step up that performance, because there are some teams in here that I think they really should be further up the lobby. I'm looking at Buddha, looking at Stalwart, I'm looking at Nova. In fact, I'm thinking Vampire Esports. I mean, to be fair to Vampire Esports, they're a team that fluctuates massively, so this could just be one of those things where they're not able to bring out that similar performance. But again, towards the end of group stages, they blasted out of nowhere. But again, there's only 3 days this time around, and if they can't make it in 3 days, I'm making the you're done zone.
Making the cut. Well, no matter what, at the end of 3 days, everybody's done this season, right? This is the finals. This is the grand finals of the PMGC for 2022. Everything else here on off is going to have 2023 in it, Blank. I know we're already in the year, but we've got to finish out last year first. It's only polite.
It is, yeah. We're right now we're just putting the final bow on 2022 and seeing who goes home with a beautiful trophy.
The team that qualified to the finals with the highest points total from the group stage. Put it on.
300 points. It was big.
Only 19% of people got that right.
Yeah.
People don't expect it.
I think Geek Fan were behind them by a little bit.
293? 292?
292.
Something like that.
I remember that statistic.
Excellent.
Yes, don't worry.
That's 8 points behind. It's pretty close though. So
pretty close.
That was over in Group Yellow, I believe, in the third group to play.
I do think Group Yellow was an easier lobby though. I think Red and Green were, I wouldn't say equally difficult. I'd say Green was a little bit more difficult, but I don't think it was the Group of Death as people kind of made it out to be. I think in hindsight now, looking back at it, I would say Group Red was just a little bit less difficult than Group Green. A lot of those teams from Group Red have turned out to be absolute powerhouses in their own right. Obviously now looking over towards El Pozzo, teams would like to make their way up over here. Obviously we had that playing path that cut through the center up towards Tierra Bronca, circle over towards El Pozzo. Credit Fields, La Cobradia, all important positions, but realistically right now people just aren't taking up these positions early on. La Triera could be a spot you want to take, but with it being so south down towards this side of the circle, maybe not really on your radar just yet.
These positions out in the northwest, they are strong, but as you said, people aren't taking them early. With the plane path as it was, it cut a little bit to the east side and the south edge of it. So They are just big chillin' over on that southeast side of the map in general. Going to have to head northeast in just that little bit. S2G making that break first towards the northwest side, leaving Silas up towards Crater Fields. This is a position that typically we would have seen HVVP play coming in from the previous group stages, and to be honest, that is the team that I think people are most surprised is not here. Given their performance, given the way they played, and in general their strength across each of the regions and each of the sections of these the progression to try and get here that they had, it seemed like they were a shoo-in, but they were just about pipped to the post.
I think, we had a case of there's only so many teams that can make it through, and we had a lot of teams coming through the PMGC, and they were just beat to the post, honestly. I think they were some of the greatest Western European teams of all time, HWP and Mad Bulls. It's just sad not to see them here at the PMGC Grand Finals. Sad because obviously we're Western European casters, but I do think that they would have fit in here. But again, both those teams made big mistakes. I think that you look at Mad Bulls, they fell off hard over on that first week, and I think they spent far too much time kind of posturing and looking for those easy points. I think they had to come out blazing. HWP, on the other hand, get towards that last chance off the back of some very aggressive plays, and then they get to that last chance, and instead of being aggressive, they go all passive. And I think it's that pressure that really gets to both those teams. And I think a lot of the teams we're seeing here made it through to the PMGC Grand Finals are these teams who are just happy to be like, look, we have to full send it. If we don't full send it now, we'll never make it in. We have to make these dangerous plays. That's exactly what Inco did. They're here right now. They're in second place. They're doing wonderfully well for themselves. And if it wasn't for them, being they were so far behind, right? They were so far behind in that final game. They didn't think to themselves, look, we're going to go middle. We're going to take it. We're going to do what we always do. We're going to send it into Nitro towards that end. And we're going to take it to the limit and then beat out Alpha 7. If they don't do that, they don't make that decision, they don't make it into the Grand Finals. And these are the moments that make a PMGC team.
And now they're in second place on the overall standings after 4 matches. With the 5th on the cards, they stand a clean 14 points ahead of third place right now. So they have got that buffer moving on in, but even further ahead are Alpha 7, who have been terrifying so far today. Over 4 matches to pick up 73 points. That's almost a 20-point average, Blank. That is really, really tight. It's playing at... what is that? I think that's an 18-point average on each of the games so far, which is really, really quite incredible. To get 18 points on one game is a great performance. To do it over 4, absolutely
disgusting,
unbeatable on a day. And you talked about it before. Not unlikely, we could see Alpha 7 on a 100-point day to kick things off. Yeah,
I mean, it's only 27 points now. It's very doable.
True.
I mean, they won 27 points after, I think it was 2 games. So there's definitely a chance here for them. I think also, similarly with their current rotation, up over towards that northern side of the map, Mafioso, Revo, Carrillo, Mythic, all heading down towards Cabrera. I like this 2-2 split as well. You've got 2 players over in the blue watching out for any other teams, any other players that will be moving down over this side of the map, and then 2 players who are already forward, already in towards the circle. That's good play. That's good play in general, a smart play, but what it also does is gets you over towards Credit Fields. The fact that no one's taken up this ridge side this early on is a catastrophe, in my opinion, and I think it should have been taken up so much earlier, and this might just be free real estate, essentially, for Alpha 7.
Danger for Influence Kemin as Geek Fam open up the barrels, but fortunately, no knocks just yet, but I might have spoken too soon there as Federal gets torn off the back of the bike. Kayovsky will sail on forwards, but manages to curve around that headland, up into more danger. Just nearly over the top, but Geek Fam 2.2. Terrible news for Influence Kemin. They had a blaster of a game last time around. They were in 4th, looking good to set themselves up for a Brazilian 1-2-3, but losing 2 this early, it is far from ideal.
Yeah, Micah is just an absolute beast. Really, really good addition here towards Geek Fam. Certainly what put them on the path towards this PMGC after struggling a little bit towards the PMPL. Suddenly back in action now. Influence Kevin want to look for one little more, and he sends shots back, in fact. This is so aggressive from
from the Malaysian region as well. Geek Fam, we saw the announcements earlier today. They're going to be set in their own region as well, moving on forward. So that is going to be really cool to see them going on into the PMPL Malaysia for next time around. But for now, they're in 6th place.
They are indeed in 6th place right now. So, 36 points. That's 2 eliminations off the back of that really nice spray down. Does not happen often. Unfortunately, it is those bikes that kind of have a little bit of a squiffy hitbox. Makes it just a little bit easier, but not as easy as Micah makes it look, honestly. Try to do that in game and I'll tell you probably fail 9.9 times out of 10. It is quite the difficult proposition to actually field. During especially esport competition, one of this high value.
Goodness me, S2G, I mean, they were 14 points behind Inco, but they've already taken 2 of the Inco players down. Squash under pressure, and then they Bete trying to get away from it as well. And 3 eliminations found for pretty much Silas in that scenario. Excellent knocks coming on through for the S2G squad. 4 angry men close by in the foothills here. Nene Bete managing to stay alive for Inco. I say that as he does go down. 16th place. S2G with a chance now to leapfrog if they can keep it going. Geek Fam do lose 1 to Stalwart. 3 players now staying alive for Geek Fam. This is on the northeastern side. Buriram going to skirt around this engagement to the south edge of it. They're probably going to be coming into conflict with Nova and maybe even T2K.
Some of these teams would like to see themselves towards 60 points. I think that's where we're going to see the majority of these top 5 teams.
Oh. King 1-for-1 as Jimmy trades him off. But they can't really stretch out towards this position. Sky only does get flushed out by Paraboy. And there's plenty of off angles to play with, but against them is Kingzo. My Name P also laying order down. King is low and out. 2 players now active against the 3 from Buriram. Paraboy and Jimmy looking to reposition for this, but Kingzo doesn't want to let them slow down. Tiger as well, moving up on high, up on that ridge line. Jimmy repositions towards order and might even go straight into the headland that Tiger currently occupies. Jimmy swinging out wide, spots the buggy, knows he has to fade away, needs to win the trade as well if Nova want to stay alive in this game. One of the last 2 players standing for the squad from China, and Jimmy looks for the challenge, will find the shots. And Tiger goes down. Buriram lose their outpost.
Buriram United really looking to put some more points on the board here, but losing 1 player, another knock comes through, tries to trade some of these off over towards Nova. Finds at least 1 here, and Kengzo is going to have to bring out something big. Said he'd destroy anyone in his way, but forgets that can't be the solo player on his team. There needs to be people rallying around him to make this happen. That's how they did so well over in the league stage.
A potential urban finish here as El Pozo gets shrunk down towards further south on the southeast side. Pretty hard shift on this circle. Paraboy, Order playing as a duo now. Moving together, moving it in close. They do have a player at the back. Jimmy still active, of course, after winning that trade. My Name P at the back. Kengzo's position should be spotted there. Steps out for the challenge, but Order on the ball as ever. My Name P also under pressure now, backed off that ridge line. Buriram down to 1.
Just sent back. The swiftest of plays there coming through from Nova. Sure down to 1 player, but that is a display of dominance. You know that Nova's not messing around. Again, though, they need to get, I'd say, around about another at least 27 points on this day to begin with a running. That would see them very well set up for tomorrow to try and leapfrog and get that 1st place. It won't be easy by any stretch of the word, but I think 27 points is doable off a bad day.
.73 points on the cards for Alpha 7. We talked about their performance so far, and it has been astounding. They're on the north side, and if it goes more close or more into El Pozo than it currently is already, they might have a tough time getting into that settlement. However, on that north side, the have not been powerful at all so far in this lobby. Currently sat in 15th place, 7 points total. Only trumped on the poor performances, to be honest, by Alter Ego.
Stalwart off towards that eastern side definitely could also be a problem, but I think they're going to be laid up by Nova quicker than we see Alpha 7 put themselves in the purview, those lads over there. Shots coming through on that side. Alpha 7 can skirt around the crater fields, but we will see this next circle very soon now.
Ooh.
Okay. Ooh. A little crash coming on through. Influence Kevin. Get the cage rattled
By the team that the crowd is cheering for the loudest. Alter Ego able to find the final 2 from Influence Kevin.
I mean, pure decimation coming through from Alter Egos, and I bet that certainly was an Alter Ego there, because that looked fearsome. Brought something out different, put on the angry face. That's absolutely fine. Geek Fam, northwest side, still kind of sandwiched between Alter Egos and Alpha 7, but Alpha 7 now taking their opportunity to move through crater fields, undetected by S2G or any other players down towards that south side. See if Alter Egos are able to take any shots towards these rotates. Come through now. You are right, this is looking more and more like an urban finish now, with players and teams all cooped up in El Pozo. It's not a fun place to finish as well. Not a lot of these buildings are even all that good. Really a pick of, I don't really know what I'd pick, honestly.
It's very, very tricky, especially in urban environments, to choose a winner. It's almost kind of worth choosing a team not in the middle there, because you don't know which of those is going to win, and you're more likely to win with a team that is just going to sweep the outside, in which case Alpha 7, I guess, would be my pick.
Could do. I think also Fireflux have a strong spot. Alter Egos, though, what a quick swing by.
Very nice.
Straight in towards the city, ahead of Geek Fam as well, who took a little bit of too long, in my opinion, to get into position.
But get into position they shall do now. They shall try and enact that labour. Maybe a little bit too late. Alpha 7. Okay, hang on a minute. I take back my prediction. I didn't mean it, Blank. I didn't mean it at all. S2G, the new players on the cards for me. A nice little flush, actually, pinging that one away for Stalwart. Picking up a cheeky little point. So only 2 players now left for Alpha 7 as they try and move to the hills outside of those craters, but it's really, really tough going for them. Carrillo certainly going to bleed out here. Rebo up to the cliff face. Mafioso soon to join. Razy gets put back a bit, humbled slightly, but Carrillo will finally get flushed. Mafioso behind the vehicle, and Hamzy can't quite thread the needle.
There's always going to be a horrible push for Alpha 7, honestly, just because as soon as we got this circle coming down here, S2G had to do one thing, and that was hold down towards the western side of the ridge. Stalwart similarly knew exactly what to do as well, which is on the eastern side of the ridge. Where does Alpha 7 go at that point? They have to go through the fielded area, in which case both S2G and Stalwart get the clear crossfire. And there's no like mix-up in between S2G and Stalwart, because they don't have sightlines on each other. They only have sightlines over towards Alpha 7. So really, really nice stuff. But that will stop Alpha 7 profiting for a little while as they now finally go down. This gives a chance for maybe some of these other teams to start getting a little bit more points, getting into position. S2G in particular, 4am, Geek Fam.
All trying to hold positions in this settlement. Next circle just about to come through in about 7 seconds. All of these teams are going to be so ready, pre-planning in the IGL's minds going on right now furiously. And it keeps quite a lot of the outside of the El Pozo area in this next circle, Blank. It's about 50-50.
It's going to be a slow game. It's going to be a slow roast. We'll set the old oven going. We'll just pop that thing on 180 degrees and just leave it, because this is going to slowly boil up to where we want to see it. And then maybe explode over, because at this point in time, most teams are just going to sit pretty. Maybe try and find themselves a bit of a better position. Nice shots over towards 4am from IHC. Limit the amount of players that still get in. Very unfortunate as well with that just being demo. A great spot taken up from IHC. Issue is, he's really only found one. This nade has to be pretty effective so that he can regroup with the rest of his team.
He's already started to cook. Qing Chen, oh, just about escapes that one narrowly. A smoke being thrown underarm there to try and cover a little bit more progression. The nade blasts right in the air over the top of it. See. The holdout. Four Angry Men here. Four Angry Men, 5th place right now. Could challenge S2G. Looking good to overtake Influence Kemin. And how's this for a turn of events, Blank? All 3 Brazilian teams out.
I mean, this is where the train derails. You're saying, can they lay the track in front of them? Fast enough, and it seems that the energy's run out, the blisters on the fingers are just a little bit too much, and again, that profit no longer there. Have to take a rest on the side, on the desert, on the sand.
Slowly moving forwards. You're right, IHC forcing them to struggle on just a little bit at their doorstep. Not only that, you got Alter Egos as well, trying to slow everything down on this western side. Alter Egos on this north side of El Pozo in general going to have one of the better times getting out of the settlement should the circle shift out that way, Blank.
Yeah, still have a chance here as well. A very good chance, in fact, because they have the most of the high ground buildings to play around with. Their major idea at the moment is to do exactly this. Slowly pick away at these teams on the western side. IHC probably the biggest problem here. Vampire Esports ahead of them. This is a really good chance now for Alter Egos.
Order down, flushed. 4 Angry Men getting chipped away at. Svan, last player standing now for the squad. Alter Egos will spot it. The circle goes half and half yet again. So everybody will have to crunch just that little bit closer. That's bad news for AHC, bad news for Svan from 4 Angry Men. Geek Fam probably going to have a tough time of it, but this northern edge, I think, is going to be the cruelest for the 2 teams taking occupation up by this mountain, this high ground position from S2G and Stalwart, both of whom are going to have to move south.
You would be surprised. There's still a lot of cover to play on that northern edge on El Pozo. I think the issue comes in 2 teams sharing that area, so I think now they're going to have to figure out how do they take down one another without alerting themselves and their presence to a lot of the players underneath. So you can see Stalwart just quickly stepping up, stepping back down again. For S2G, steadying Silas across. Oh, this is really important.
Alter Egos thinking about moving now. IHC had that thought a little bit earlier, but unfortunately seems to be fairly poorly timed as Vampire are absolutely on the lookout. Just completely covering off all of these lines of ingress for IHC. There's no way you get across this one. Demo will pick Ziol back up, and Godless next on the medic list, but how much further can they get? They're still outside the zone.
Vampire Esports just on a perfect line on that edge of the match. I'm actually very pleased with that. That is giving me the ASMR, but visual. Obviously now we'll have to hold out a couple of the teams, but done the work over towards IHC, Alter Ego. We'll have to move in, but imagine that the Wolves will have so much to say about that. It's pretty much open ground between them and their place of retreat. But again, 4 players, that's kind of what you need to push through a team like Vampire Esports. You may lose 1 or 2 in the process, but I think at that point in time you just have to see that as acceptable losses.
S2G on the north side, clashing a little bit with player completely. Kelsey behind the tree. Oh, nearly knocks the block off catch, but he ducks down just in time to save his bacon. Maybe another shot to be found, though. Has to fade back and not going to really chance it for now. Alter Egos playing as 4. They're going to try and push through Vampire now.
Yeah, you can see them getting ready to burst over towards Vampire Esports. See what they can get done here. It's just one of those cases of making sure you watch all angles, make sure all positions are free before you cross that road, before you cross into no man's land and into the night owned by Vampire.
That's a Fireflux shift if I ever did see one. Slap bang onto them. They're in the middle of it now. IHC get across. Godless trying to hop on through the vehicles, but Demo goes down first and Ziol second to follow. Godless last and wasn't there to back up the teammates. T2K holding well, but unfortunately they do lose one. Godless, a sliver of HP will not be enough to prop up the crumbling foundations of that rotation, and T2K will sweep it away.
Again now for 4 AM. Alter Ego. Vampire is got their fangs out, looking their way. Wait for them to leave. It's all popping off on this northern edge, John.
Up in flames, S2G goes. The vehicle does pop off, and they're going to bring themselves very, very low. Stalwart picking up those points, and Hamzy last to fall. Stalwart curtail them, draw them short. 11th place, 5 eliminations. The top of the tables are crumbling fast. 4 Angry Men may be next on the cards, and they will fall too. DRS now. They led out today with a really well-executed chicken dinner, and now they have a chance to tee themselves back towards the top of the table. Schweppes is absolutely dominating Alter Egos in the meantime. And this push seems doomed, and it will fall finally with the last player to go. The western side, Vampire property.
Sad funeral dirge behind us there, banged out on the drums for Alter Ego. Here in Indo. Now Vampire Esports looking to move forward. Geek Fam above them. Still a couple of players, 2 to be precise. Vampire with 3. Some points on this day.
Only one team now left on the outside of the settlement of El Pozo. And that is Nova with the duo that they have, Order and Paraboy. These are 2 names that strike fear into the hearts of people who come across them on the battlefields. To be honest, we've expected a little bit more from them today, but we know that they can deliver when pushed. And now is the time that they need to show just what they're made of here. Another shift over towards the Fireflux position, and it seems like this might be a Turkish game to lose.
Absolutely. Fireflux, team that I mentioned earlier, in a really strong spot, both on the outer edge and still in the city. It's a really easy spot to hold on to for a long, long time. A lot of accessible areas to excavate yourself from. So I think this is a very, very good spot to be playing in. T2K just about to make their way into that building.
Looks like Vampire wanted to slow them down. Well, that's a beautiful nade over the top from Stoned. I have no idea how he managed to find that perfectly onto the garage opening from that angle, but 3 points. Excellent stuff.
Stone just a very, very good player, and that gives great opportunity now for Vampire actually to move up, which is really important for them actually. Just garnering a bit of space. Geek Fam also looking to take advantage of that. Look at those Schweppes already down.
Oh no.
2 in fact, and only Stone left remaining. Vampire falling.
Crumbling. Being pulled apart at the seams there. Only the one